alumni, welcome to this year's graduation ceremony and as part of our commencement exercises. We are now ready to begin. Thank you for your patience. We will end on time. Trust me on that one. We hold this graduation ceremony in the meeting house here. It's a special place to us. This is in fact the philosophical, spiritual foundation of Olney Friends School, this meeting house and the Society of Friends, okay, the Quakers. And so what we are doing here really is not your typical graduation ceremony. It is a meeting for worship with attention to graduation. And so we are going to hold our ceremony in that spirit. We will not clap. I will request you to keep your uh, applause till the very end, and also for photographs, not to have flashes or sounds, so we can maintain the silence of our worship throughout, from beginning to end. And the seniors, when they finally, after they have graduated and all have their diplomas, they will give us a clear signal for when we can upload. So thank you. I'm Christian Achema, the head of school. It's my distinct honor to welcome you to this year's graduation ceremony and to be here with you face to face in person. While I'm up here, I will take off my mask and other people will do the same, and we'll do our level best to wipe down these surfaces between speakers. And in between speakers, we'll also have a period of silence. At the very end, we'll have a slightly longer period of silence for anyone who would like to share, again, out of the sense of worship. We are here to worship with attention to graduation and holding our four graduates in the light, as the Quakers would say. All right, so very soon here, I'll be giving a signal, and the class of 2022 will come in. If kiddos, let's stay. Fantastic. Thank you very much, kiddos. Class of 2022, you're welcome. Today is your day. Yeah, last night I promised you that I would speak about you, and I will do that. I'll throw that in a few stories here and there as we move along through our program. Parents of the graduating of our graduates, you are most welcome. We see it's wonderful to finally see Seppo's mom here with us from South Africa, and it's great to see Alice's father and mother and two brothers from Uganda. One of the brothers should actually be up there since he's a current student, but we'll let you be since you haven't seen mom for all these months. We are grateful for all of these are all students who come to us through different connections to the school. So we continue to have strong recommendations from people who've experienced Olney Friends School. So you are most welcome. Mike, for sure, I know there is someone in the audience here for you. I just know you may not want me to know who that is, but we'll figure it out. Um, and Nico, for today, I'll serve as your family. All right, wonderful. Well, without further ado, I would like to invite Roger Reynolds to introduce the class of 2022. But Roger, just please give me a second so I can wipe off this area before you come.
So clean. morning. Welcome to the 2022 Commencement. Commencement means beginning, so I've always found it a little odd that the year ends with commencement. It's been a year of many challenges for Olney as a school and for me personally. A lot goes into a year at Olney, a lot of planning, a lot of work, a lot of care. And the people here on this bench are just like the tip of the iceberg for how that happens. I want to express gratitude to all the families who support the school. And in particular, I want to express gratitude towards my wife, Diane, right in the fourth row, who's a vital member of the community. It's Diane who's made it possible through her 13 years of infinite patience and support for me to be here today. Thank you so much. The four young people we celebrate here today are more than merely graduates, although that in itself is a significant achievement. I was talking with Alice and Phineas after senior social, trying to determine who the most senior was. Mike came halfway through the sophomore year, so nominally it would be him. But Phineas pointed out that in terms of actual time spent on campus, Mike and Alice are tied at 7 quarters. Between COVID and passport mishaps, travel to and from campus has been chancy at times, at least for Mike. Nevertheless, each of you has managed to do something 9 of your peers could not do. 13 students have, at one point or another, been a part of this class. So in a sense, you 4 are survivors. Congratulations. School can be hard. It's hard in terms of the work that we expect, of course. The seniors have not only completed a major research project in humanities, but made it through all those metanoia papers. Built models of energy-efficient houses in environmental science, spent time wading in Captina Creek, walked 13 miles out to Raven Rocks, and then camped out. Fed chickens and goats, learned how to mop, and helped prepare and serve meals, and then washed up after. They even read Pride and Prejudice. And that's just a small fraction of the life of a student here. But the toughest lessons are the ones of the heart. These are the ones I am most proud of, but also the ones I had nothing to do with. You taught yourselves. I mean things like learning how to expect more from yourself, or how to best support the ones around you, how to apologize to someone you've hurt, or forgive someone who's hurt you. In short, how to be kind. Kindness is in short supply these days. This class has had their share of conflict, but they have each struggled with forgiveness in their own secret ways. And Olney has a way of bringing people together. One of our year-end traditions is the senior trip. During the week when everybody else is taking exams, the seniors leave campus and go somewhere together, usually as far away as possible. This year, that turned out to be Moundsville. We went to Grandview Park, stayed in a cabin. Shay and I, as chaperones, were a little apprehensive about how this was going to go. But I think the trip was your finest hour. That first night, while Shay and I relaxed, Mike and Alice cooked, and Nico cleaned up after, and Seppo, I guess, ate? I'm not sure what Seppo did. Anyway, I felt this old feeling there around the table, what some like to call the Olney spirit, hovering like a ghost. May it stay with each of you always. I have a few words to say by way of introduction about each senior. Alice Nicole Kakito. Alice is the third Kakito I've had the pleasure to teach. They're the other two right there. Nicholas graduated 2 years ago, and her little brother Nelson is a sophomore. Alice is from Kampala, Uganda, and wrote her paper about corporal punishment in Ugandan schools. She will attend Kennesaw State University, just outside Atlanta, Georgia, in the fall. Alice is always in charge, and letting you know it. Early in the year, we asked her why she was always yelling. She yelled at us that we were wrong. Oh gosh. Alice can go from passion to passion, from being annoyed to laughing to dressing someone down in just a few seconds. It's not always easy to know what she's really feeling. Maybe she's just ready for whatever is next. The poem she did at Poetry Slam was Lucille Clifton's Homage to My Hips. You should check the video out on YouTube. The poem begins, "These hips are big hips. They need space to move around in. They don't fit into any little petty places." That's Alice. She doesn't fit into petty places either. Wherever life takes her, it will not be petty. Thank you for being my student. Mike Peng. Not going to try the name, sorry. Mike is a 2.5-year senior. He's from Wuhan, China. Mike wrote his graduate on the use of molten salt technology in nuclear reactor design. It's true, he did. He'll be attending the University of California at Irvine in the fall. Mike is an all-the-way sort of guy. If he's late, he's all the way late. If he's stuck at the airport, like he was in Dubai at the beginning of the year, he's not stuck for a few hours, no. He's there for a month. If ramen is good for dinner, why not breakfast and lunch? Mike is the fastest runner, the best soccer player, the best dancer, the best at math, the best sleeper, and the best cook. That's definitely true. He has the best fashion sense and is the best at League of Legends. Did I leave anything out? Best rapper. Mike is one of those students who seem to not know what is going on in class, but then surprises you by saying something. Sometimes it's pertinent, sometimes it's wildly off topic, or is it? Maybe I'm the one who doesn't know what's going on. Thanks a lot, Mike. You'll be missed. Nicholas Sith. Close enough. Or Nico, or Nicosito, or Nicosito the Beast. Nico is a 1-year senior from Madrid, Spain. Nico will attend school in Spain in the fall. He wrote about the future of computer science in his graduate. Olney was a big adjustment for Nico. Nico always seemed to be getting slipped for something or other. Either he forgot to go to Sunday meeting, or he was late for collection, or his cubby was not straight, or he skipped his office work, or he was using his phone at the wrong time. These slips would upset him. Often a good deal of humanities was spent listening to Nico complain about his slips, and Seppo and Alice counseling him, trying to give him advice. Nico is the most mysterious senior, at least to me. I wonder about his year at Olney and what he really feels about this place. Once, when Bacha asked him about what he liked best about Olney. He said Manhattan, meaning the time that he spent in New York over semester break. But I think Nico has come into his own here. For one thing, he's got a sign on his dorm room door that says, "Nico, welcome to my kingdom." Then on the trip, Shay asked him, "Do you regret coming here?" And he said, to my surprise, no, he had no regrets. He really liked his time here. Nico has a habit of turning work in late. I ask him how close he is to being finished, and he'll say something like, "I am 83% done." What does that even mean? Well, for once, Nico, you are 100% done. Good luck to you. And last but not least, Seppo Solo Malakwana. Sorry. He's a one-year senior from Johannesburg, South Africa. Seppo loves sneakers. So much so, he wrote his graddy on sneaker culture. He'll attend Wilmington College in the fall. Seppo has taught me so much about sneakers. I don't know if you can see. Can you see these? Can you see these? These are the GTS 97s. They're clean, right? They're clean. Seppo helped me pick them out. Seppo was probably the biggest surprise of the year. Seppo loves to draw, and he loves to make beats on his computer. He likes soccer okay, but he'd really rather be playing rugby. Mostly, though, he's a very kind person. Somebody perhaps in this room, brought him up right. For Poetry Slam, he wrote a poem called Breathe. Seppo's had some respiratory issues this year, and so he decided to write his Poetry Slam poem about that. So he kind of turned respiration into inspiration. See how that works? The poem was good. In the poem, Seppo juxtaposed his struggles leaving high school with the action of breathing, which becomes a symbol of struggle and the will to succeed, but also of letting go and of not trying to control what cannot be controlled. It's a very Zen sort of poem in its way. When he did it at Slam, he performed it to a beat of his own making naturally. That's also on YouTube. Seppo is remarkably talented, and I wish that he could have been here longer. Good luck to you. So that's the Olney French School class of 2022. Congratulations to each and every one of you.
Thank you very much, Roger. And yeah, wonderful introduction there. I'll say a quick thing about Nico though is that Christina, his mom, as much as we gave Nico a hard time about homework and all these things, every time we spoke with his mom, she said, he loves it there. He loves it at Olney so much. But every time he was in my office, he gave me a different impression. You know, every time he was in my office, he said, Christian, I'm doing my best, Christian. Say, well, we need to figure out a different definition of your very best. And so I'm glad and proud of you, Nico, that you stuck it out because some exchange students would have said, I could go elsewhere and enjoy a TV version of the United States instead of being here where I have to go work on a farm and have to go to collection twice a day and all these things. So, Nico, you are a great example of the perfect student for this school. So, congratulations and thank you for keeping up with that spirit even when you were feeling the fire from your teachers. And the other thing Nico told me, because sorry, Christina, that I'm revealing your secrets. Nico's mom would always say, he's a good boy. He has a nice heart. He's an artist. He's so wonderful. And so when I told Nico at junior social that that's what his mom said, he said, she never said that to me. She would always say, Nico, why aren't you doing your work? Nico, why are you embarrassing our family? Nico, if you don't do well at all, you won't come back to Spain and have a successful career. So I think you see that is now the partnership we had with the parent, and it has turned out well, and especially because Nico himself bought in eventually. And for that, I'm so proud of you, Nico, that eventually you said, all right, Christian, and I remember it was right before the winter break. You said, Christian, I'm going to buckle up. I'm going to do this only thing fully. And here you are. So, because as you know, we don't give freebies at all, and you are here for a reason, Nico. Very proud of you. Okay, next up we have one of two essays. The second one is not in your in the agenda you have for the day, the program, but we'll start with the first one from Alice Kaketo, who's from Uganda, who will share with us a few thoughts from her senior essay on corporal punishment. You are welcome, Alice, but just give me a second here. By the way, for those who do not know Alice here, Roger missed out a key descriptor. We had it at the social the other day that Alice is the Beyonce of Olney. You are welcome, Beyonce.
When my name was called, I walked to the front of the room, conscious that everyone was watching me. Then a teacher pulled me by my ears and asked me what brought me to school. When I failed to answer, she laughed maniacally and jeered at me. I was told to lie down flat on the floor and not to look up. If I did look up, the teacher would increase the number of canes. After 5 minutes of shame, during which I was lying, terrified on the floor, in front of the entire school, I was caned accurately. Each teacher gave me 5 strokes, and there were 5 teachers. By the time it was over, I received 25 strokes on my buttocks and legs. Then 10 seconds passed, then 20, and then 30. The pain was like being cut by glass. I bawled my eyes out. I had nobody to talk to, so I decided to let it pass. My situation was not unique. Every school kid in Uganda has a story like that to share. It shows that there is no peace at school. School is supposed to be a safe place for all students. We were thumped. For a long time, I was not able to express my feeling toward corporal punishment. Almost anything I did seemed worthy of punishment. I never complained. I knew all the elders in my community supported physical punishment at school. This generation has been accustomed to being beaten and they cannot imagine a life without it. Leaders in society think that corporal punishment is successful because they feel some satisfaction after beating children. But the actual reality is kids get used to being beaten and it does not influence their behavior in any way. Most students just endure the punishments because it does not matter if you're doing something right or wrong, you will still be beaten either way. In a 2020 review of corporal punishment in low-income countries, a 16-year-old Ugandan boy put it in this way. You cannot escape it. From when you are born to when you grow up, they will beat you, shout at you, insult you, and do what they like to control you. I don't know why it has to be like that.
Thank you very much, Alice. Uh, just a disclaimer that Uganda is not only defined by corporal punishment, this is just one of the topics, and it does happen, keeps going on, I think, at a less and less degree as we improve. So I'm glad that you stepped up and wrote on that issue, Alice. It does bring back memories. It was in the second grade when I learned very quickly never to involve my mother in school affairs. Because it was always, well, what did you do? What got you into trouble? Let's go see your teachers. And it won't end well for me. So very quickly I learned how to sort myself out with the teachers because anything concerning mom coming to school spelled a lot of trouble for me. And so it was a shock coming to Olney and hearing one of my classmates say, I'm going to call my mom to come talk with the teacher. I say, do not bring us trouble. You're going to get us into hot water here, you know, because for us, in our context, you bring your parent, the parent will ask the teacher, what did this person do wrong? Yes, let the punishment be more severe, or let the repercussions. But so this person here told me, I said, please leave your mom out of our business. Let us deal with Leonard on our own. Um, so that is again the different perspectives we take. Alice has come a long, long way since she arrived at Olney. I'll never forget her interview where I asked her a question about some of the grades she had earned in Uganda. I said, we've never admitted a student with this grade. And she said, well, if you give me a chance, you won't regret. And for sure, we have not regretted. Alice, you've lived up to your word. And your persistence, for sure, is going to take you far, very, very far and your parents have a lot to be proud of in you, a lot that you've achieved, the friendships you've made. In Roger's description, Alice doesn't pretend, and that is just spectacular. What you see is what you get. If she's happy with you, she's happy with you. There are times when I thought there was another head of school at all in my own office. So there we are. All right. So next up, we have another presentation from Tsepo. He is going to say a few things about his grad. Tsepo, you are welcome, and please don't be shy.
As sneakers have become, in effect, luxury goods, sneaker-related violence has increased. There are many examples. In 2012, for instance, a New Jersey teen was killed by 3 other teens for a new pair of Air Jordan Playoff 11s. And as recently as last summer, an employee at a store in Los Angeles was killed in a confrontation over a shoe giveaway. The cause of this violence can be traced back to several factors. First, shoe companies work with designers and celebrities to create extremely desirable and very low available shoes. Because the shoes are so exclusive, there's a lot of competition to buy them. Second, shoe reselling is a huge business. Some shoe models can have a resale value many times their original retail price. Because the shoes are so valuable, they become a prime target for thieves. But there are many additional factors at work, forming a complicated web of sneaker consumption and violence. Sneaker culture is the result of the interplay of aesthetics, consumerism, and class differentiation, and the rise of black middle class. These concepts form a theoretical framework that have been used to explain how cultural ideas and socio-economic classes imbalances, and as well as racial inequalities, contribute to sneaker-related violence. The consumption of sneakers have been considerably gentrified. Consumers of color have had the most effect on sneaker design, trends, and sales, followed by white appropriation and gentrification. As a tool of constructive racial and political dialogue, sneaker culture has had the potential to unite races and end racial hatred. But unfortunately, the reverse has been the case in recent years, and shoes have served to emphasize racial differences. The New Balance sneaker and the Kaepernick Nike ad are two recent instances of footwear with a political bent. Colin Kaepernick's practice of kneeling during the national anthem to protest systematic racism eventually ended his football career. But in the Nike ad, Kaepernick connects the desire to compete with the dream of a better future. The Nike ad tagline, I quote, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything," is a reference to his own blacklisting by the NFL and the hope that crazy dreams, like the ones that motivate champions, will unite us and make the world a better place. On the other hand, when New Balance founder Jim Davis publicly supported Donald Trump's campaign, protectionist trade policies, and donated $400,000 to the Trump campaign, and the fascist web site Daily Stormer declared New Balance sneakers to be the official shoes of white people, urging all readers to buy a pair. I quote, so we will be able to recognize one another by our sportswear. While New Balance immediately issued a statement condemning the post, it is clear that footwear has become a form of political branding, generating political isolation and racial division, similar to how particular criminal gangs branded themselves with shoe labels.
Yes, thank you very much, Sepo, and thank you for really sharing with us your essay and speaking up. For those of you who don't know Sepo, you might not know that he can generate a voice without this microphone to fill this entire room. Uh, you just have to catch him in the Hobart when he's busy cleaning dishes, when he's a dish crew leader. There, you can hear the voice project, you can hear everything work out. I think he toned it down a little bit for this audience. I recall taking him to see a doctor, and we went with Amo. I think that was our first mistake. Amo is the other South African student who is a junior. Amo, you'll be here next year. So the three of us went to the doctor's office, and we took Sepo, who was dying. We walked in, they felt so sorry for us and put us in a separate room. After 10 minutes, one of the nurses came in and said, "What's going on here? This sounds like a frat house." Because of all the sound the three of us generated, it filled that entire practice. And they said, "Christian, are you sure your student is sick?" I said, "Yes, he's dying. Please take care of him." But we were in another world altogether. And I think that's characterized a lot of Sepos here at Olney Friends School. Lots of laughter, lots of sound, and then also lots of uncharacteristic silences. When you see Sepo silent, walking around, we usually say, "Sepo, should we call mom?" Or better yet, he has found that's a great technique to get a footlong from me or some other treat that he wants. There is no student in the last 4 years who has really benefited economically from me in this way more than Sepo, without me noticing what they were doing. So he really took me many months to know what he was up to, and I finally got to him. But I'm happy that we've had that bond, Sepo, and wish you all the best. I see Rich and Mary Sidwell in the audience here who have really made that connection to Wilmington College for us worthwhile. So Sepo, when you get a moment, Rich and Mary are here. You should link up with them, say a quick hello, and thank you, because that's your direct connection to Wilmington. For those who don't know, Wilmington College values graduates of Olney Friends School and has made it possible for several of our good students to go there, and we are grateful for that as well. And Rich is also a former head of school here, and an alum, and many other things. So there we are. Okay, we move on to the next thing, brisk pace. We'll call Alice up again here. She will serve as the class representative for this year. Alice, you are welcome back once again.
A warm and pleasant good morning to you all. On behalf of the class of 2022, I would like to welcome family, friends, staff, alumni, and faculty. I'm so honored to be addressing you today. Thank you for coming. Wow, graduates, we made it. I'm still trying to process the fact that I'm done with high school and I'm going to college. I've never imagined what life will feel like after Olney, I guess. I know most of us feel the same way. For the past few years, I have imagined what this day will look like, how I would act, how I would dress, and how confident I would be. But can you believe it? It's been a long 2 years and a short 2 years. Long because of the drama and the tough homework and the boring readings and the long projects and the other pressures that come with being in high school. Short because of the lifelong friendships, the good memories, and the interesting and amazing things we have learned over these 2 years. This year was a year of many challenges. Academics at Olney are no joke. The grading, that was really hard. Nico can tell you. Nico, are you even done? Environmental science was also difficult, especially when we would have to wade around in Captina in January checking for pH and turbidity. Senior maternal, Christian, all I can say is wow. We made it through that fire. You must be proud of us. But the real challenges for this class have to do with community. This class has been unstable because kids kept coming and going. At one time or another, 13 students have been in this class, but most of them I've never met personally. Mike and I are the only seniors that have been in Olney for more than a year. That was a long stretch of time when Mike and I were the entire class. That was difficult for the both of us because we were not close. I'm coming from Uganda where there are over 90 students in class, and here it was just Mike. By the fall of 2021, there were 5 seniors. The worst challenge that affected us was when Mike and Don left for a quarter, and then Don left the school, so I was the only girl in class. That was hard because I lost my best friend. And Sepo, Mike and Nico, you are the best, but we did not just see eye to eye on everything. You know that's true. We had so many grievances. Almost every day. Sorry. I'm sorry. We had so many grievances. Almost every day in humanities, we would run to Roger and complain, and rant about useless things. At that time, we were very serious about our many issues. This was also the time when Sepo was having trouble breathing. He even wrote a poem about it. On top of it all, seniors have so many events to plan. The Valentine's dance. That was the worst. We could not cooperate for even 2 minutes. There was so much conflict. But the great thing about Olney is that you are given a chance to come together. For me, the moment that sums it up was on the trip at Grandview Park where we had to climb the challenging ropes. I was up there in my harness, clipped onto the live wire. The thing is supposed to keep you from falling, and I had stepped out on this narrow beam, supported by two ropes, one at the either end, and are supposed to walk across this thing, 100 feet in the air. And Mike was yelling for me, telling me I could do it. Mike, I'm here for you. You can do it. Which is honestly the best thing Mike has ever said to me. So nice. I could not believe that Mike was cheering for me. He gave me the courage to try. For instance, when I was up so high and everyone was cheering for me, that was the best moment. I know my experience is limited, but every problem I have overcome has been because someone has always been there to help me. My support ranged and still ranges from my parents to my friends and teachers. And in this life, once you are supported, you can accomplish anything. Whenever I talk to my dad on the phone, he tells me, struggle now and enjoy the future. I think now that describes our class as a whole. We really did have many obstacles to overcome, but in the end, we did come together and our future is bright. I'm so proud of all of us and so grateful to Christian and the staff for believing in us and supporting us. I would like to thank my parents as well for having given me an opportunity to study at Olney. Thank you all so much. Not all goodbyes are sad. For example, goodbye class.
All right. Thank you very much, Alice. In typical Beyonce style. Thank you. I've told a story about three of our graduates. It's now time to tell a story about Mike. Mike here set me up once where he didn't really want me to speak with his mom. And so he set up the time perfectly and then hung around my office. 39 minutes later, I emerged from the office and he said, how did it go? I said, it went very well. We had a great conversation. He said, which language did you speak? Because he knew I didn't know Mandarin and his mom didn't know English. But we talked for 39 minutes. And he flushed red when he realized that I had requested a former student to translate the conversation. And here's what Mike's mom said, he has a good heart. And we have seen all the change he's been through since he joined Olney Friends School. And in those words, unbeknownst to her, so much got confirmed in those 39 minutes, even though the call was for a difficult purpose. And I will never forget when I said, Mike, call your mom. She would like to speak with you right now. That's the only time Mike willingly gave me his phone and said, I'll call her tomorrow. Not today, Christian. I said, Mike, it is 8:30 in the morning in China. Please call her. No, 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 Christian, not now. He was terrified, just as I would have been if I had to speak with my mother in a similar circumstance. But they spoke, and after that, Mike said, well, Christian, let me tell you, I'm committed. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to be a good community member. And the words he actually used were, I'm going to be a good person. And so, Mike, hearing Alice's recollection from Grandview, I think without Q, you have really gone a long way in being that good person. And again, that's a choice. No one can really motivate you to do that unless you choose to do it yourself. So, congratulations. And unbeknownst to Mike, he passed one of my final tests after junior social. We were so exhausted, but we had to clean the kitchen. There are a few people who came to help us, and in the end, I said, Mike, do you know what? There's one last thing to do. And these are the words everyone dreads. At 10 p.m., after a long day of junior social, the word someone dreads say, Mike, we have to mop the kitchen. And he looked at me and said, okay, and did it. He got there. Who knew that Mike knew where to find a mop head, a bucket, the soap, how to fill up the water, how to sweep fast, take the mats away, mop, put the mats back, drain the water from the bucket, and put the mop head in the right place. Amy, you'll be proud of Mike, because I walked away and came back and he had put that mop head exactly where you ask all of us to put the mop heads with you. So, Mike, you didn't know then, but I went home so happy with a full heart because it is in those seemingly simple things that a human soul comes out. So never doubt that you've learned anything here and that you've added value to the school. I think you've done very well for yourself and also done well for the school. It's been our honor to have you here, Mike. That night, you made my junior social, Mike. Thank you very much. Okay, and it's now time for us to hand out the diplomas. Leonard isn't here today, so I'll do it. But before I do that, I need to put in a little jab here. Last night when we were doing roll call, I think I saw class of 2002, the 20-year class, I saw one person online. And Gabe's here. Gabe Gwindon always gives me a hard time. He was a junior when I was a senior, but he was my big brother when I was coming from Uganda. So he always gives me a hard time. Today I'm up here. It's my turn to give you a hard time, Gabe. You were not at roll call yesterday, but I was. So class of 2001 will always be better than the class of 2002. All right, so, kiddos. Okay, Alice Nicole Paketo, congratulations. And turn around, I think someone is going to take a photo. There you are. At least the camera is there. Excellent. Congratulations. Yes. Shikwang Peng. Mike. Congratulations. You've done well. Okay. I'm not going to call you the other name, so don't worry. Nicholas. Yes. Congratulations. You've promised me Iberico, so I can't wait. Seppo. Seppo Solo. Congratulations. He's smiling underneath that mask. Wonderful. They have made it. You're officially graduates of Olney Friends School. But maybe not yet, not until you walk out and give us the signal for us to upload. Okay, next we'll have a commencement address. Please join me. Well, join me in a silent welcome of Marie Bandy, class of 1954, and I'll tell you a story here. Uh, I was, uh, I was requested to give the commencement address for the class of 2008. The person behind that plan was Marie Bandy. She really drove it, and I got to know through Rich, when Rich was head, that Marie really pushed for it, and Mary agreed, and there we are. So when I spoke with Marie, after the class selected Marie as its speaker, Marie asked, "Is it revenge, Christian?" I said, "No, Marie, it is one good turn deserves another." And so that is again my distinct honor to welcome the very person who nominated me to be a commencement speaker those many years ago to deliver this year's commencement address. You're welcome, Marie. As you always remind me, uh, the school is there, and for some reason, you know that God's always looking over it. So, welcome, Marie.
This year, they decided to do something different for commencement speaker. They said they were looking for someone who knew a lot about the school, loved the school, and who lived in the local community. And that's how I got chosen. I'm looking out here at a room full of Olney people. Some of them were students here. There's some people that were staff here. And their spouses. And by the way, I welcome the spouses. You come to a place where everybody seems to know everybody else, and you don't know anybody. So I'm glad you came, and I hope you have a good time. Olney is different than probably when you were here. I know in the past, somebody has told me that they came here after many years and it's just not the same school anymore. Well, that's true, because Olney isn't stuck in its historic past or its old traditions. It moves and grows with the times. Uh, However, the heart and soul of Olney has not changed. And what we call the Olney spirit is alive and thriving today, just as it was when you were here. And that probably is one of the most important things we have here. When I was at Olney in the 50s, the 1950s, Olney was in a transition period. Transition from earlier stricter rules. My freshman year was the last year for the clothing inspectors. A group from Ohio Yearly Meeting came and inspected our clothing to make sure that it was suitable, met the terms of simplicity and modesty. I had a black and white skirt that had to go home because it was too loud. Music at the time was discouraged in the main building, but we took care of that. We used to gather in the stairways by the dining room and sing. We sang in harmony, and no one complained. And then one of the teachers wanted to introduce modern dance in the winter sports program. Now, dance was a very controversial word at the time, and so we had interpretive gymnastics. And we learned how to do graceful leaps and movements. I wondered what Olney must have been like when I was here. I wondered that about when all the old Quakers were in charge and all the rules were so strict. I thought it must have been really boring for the students. Well, several years later, I discovered the Olney archives. And there are handwritten periodicals by the students telling about things that happened at the school. And they go all the way back into the 1800s. And after reading some of those, I soon discovered teenagers haven't changed that much. My favorite story is about Halloween. And you know, Quakers don't celebrate Halloween, but apparently the students did. And this was well before 1910, must have been the early 1900s. And because the dormitories were on top of the main building, the boys' side was on the side next to the driveway, and the girls' side was on the other side, and there were fire escapes on each end. Well, it was Halloween, and the boys decided they were going to try and scare the girls. One of them was going to dress up in a sheet and go up the fire escape to the girls' side. So the problem was the girls somehow found out about it, and they were prepared. So when it got up to the level where the windows were to the girls' dormitory, one of the girls climbed out the window, grabbed him, and kissed him. And they wrote about it. Also in the 1950s, Olney was beginning to get students who were not Quakers, and also a few students from other countries. One year, we were having a get acquainted party at the beginning of the school year, and we had this game where the students that had been there before were to get as many names of the new students as they could within a short period of time. So I ran up to this blonde-headed boy, and I asked him, "What's your name?" And he says, "Gunter Pescht." And I said, "Would you spell that, please?" And he says, John. One of the new students has a sense of humor. In fact, John Pescht had escaped from communist East Germany by himself. And his relatives brought him to this country and sent him to Olney. He was there for 3 or 4 years and graduated in 1956 with his sense of humor intact. It was not long after World War II at that time, and Europe was devastated, and there were many people homeless, families wandering around Europe, and they were called displaced persons. And individuals and organizations in this country could sponsor a family of displaced persons and bring them to this country and give them a chance to start again. And Ohio Yearly Meeting did that. They brought the family here, and they settled here first in this community, and the 3 older children came to Olney. They spoke several European languages, but no English. So it was really difficult for us to get to know them because of the language barrier. And they weren't here for very long. Interestingly, they learned English by taking German class. And when I was a student here, they called me Mug, M-U-G. My roommates gave me that nickname. I don't know why. And it stuck. Even the teachers called me Mug. I regret now that I didn't take full advantage of the education that Olney had for me. I was just more interested in having a good time. Our class was small, like this year's class. Back then, most of the classes were 20 students or more. Our class was 10. Small but lively. Freshman algebra. Teacher Bill Tabor was our algebra teacher, and that is Anne Marie's father. Well, we were assigned to bring 10 problems to class the next day. Well, there was 10 of us, so we decided to bring ourselves. So we wrote 1 through 10 on the blackboard and wrote everybody's name, and Teacher Bill's watching this. And when we get done, he says, "All right, now, move 2 to the right and solve them." Chemistry. One time there was something, I forget what, that we needed to ask permission if we could go and do that by ourselves. And when we finished what we were there for, somebody said, "Why don't we make some hydrogen?" We had learned how in chemistry class, so we knew how to do it. So we put the apparatus together and we made hydrogen, and we contained it in an upside down glass container. And well, hydrogen is invisible, and you don't really know whether you have it unless you strike a match. Unfortunately, we struck the match too close to the apparatus making the hydrogen, and the whole thing blew up. No one was hurt, but I think there's probably still some glass in the ceiling in that room. Now, our junior year, we had a science class with teacher John Cahy. And it was 6 weeks before the end of school, and he came to our class and announced that this was the last time he was going to teach us. He said, "The final exam will be on such and such a date, and you're responsible for the rest of the book." He was fed up with our behavior. And then he started talking to us about next year. So next year you'll be seniors, and the younger students are going to look up to you. And those juniors up there, pay attention. This is for you too. Seniors can set the tone for the school, and we will be called upon to provide responsible leadership for the school. When he was through, it was a wake-up call for us. We took it very seriously, and frankly, I was ashamed. And the next year, we did a good job. We were able to rise to the challenges of responsible leadership. Thank you, Teacher John. Olney is a family of teenagers and adults, all coming together with a wide variety of life experience. Here, you learn to know friends and people from very different backgrounds from yourself, and that's a valuable lesson for life. one that others that you may encounter will not have had. One of my favorite sayings is, everyone I meet has something to teach me. Everyone I meet has something to teach me. I may not learn what it is, I may not know them long enough, but the potential is always there. And this is especially helpful in combating prejudices. Example, street people, people that are homeless in the cities. When I worked with Girls Clubs of Jacksonville, I had an office downtown in the heart of the city in Jacksonville, Florida. And I got to know some of the street people. There was Dusty. Dusty had all of her time to stay. And she said, well, I ride my bicycle where people are all back in their houses, and I find a car that's unlocked, and I crawl in there and spend the night. But before I sleep, I set my alarm clock so that I can be out of there before people come in the morning. Well, I often wondered what people thought when they got into their car the next day, because Dusty, like all homeless people, didn't have access to bathing facilities, and it was Florida. Then there was Roger. Roger liked to sleep behind the churches. He felt safe there, he said. And one time I hadn't seen him for a while, and then when he showed up, he was all cleaned up, shaved, and haircut. So I figured he'd been in jail. So I asked him, Roger, where you been? He says, well, he shook his head. He said, I did not break in. That window was open, and I just wanted to plug in my popcorn popper. And it seemed that someone had given him a bunch of peanuts, and he had gone down to the bus station and collected enough packets of sugar that he could make some peanut brittle with his popcorn popper. And he found a window that was open in the basement of the Baptist church, and he went in, but someone called the police, and they came and they put him in jail. Now, what did I learn from these people? I learned that these are persons of value who are doing the best they can with what little they have. And I also learned to appreciate what I had. Everyone has something to teach me. With this attitude towards others, you can gain new insight from people you meet. It can result in enriching your life and increasing the knowledge of the world we live in. I want to close with a poem. This is a children's poem that I learned in 3rd grade. I like children's poems. They are simple and have an easily understood message. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub by the side of the hill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a bush, be a bit of the grass and some highway happier make. If you can't be a muskie, then just be a bass, but the liveliest bass in the lake. We can't all be captains. There has to be crew. There is something for each of us here. There's big work to do, and there's lesser to do. And the task you're to do is what's near. If you can't be a highway, then just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. It isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are.
Thank you very much, Marie. As always, it's very funny. You left us speechless in a Quaker meeting house. Thank you very much, Marie. A couple of weeks ago, I met a parent who had been a Minister of Foreign Affairs of Rwanda and had two students, two daughters here. And she told me, she said, look, she now works in Geneva at UNAIDS. She said, Christian, we drove and drove and drove into the village. This was not the US we had seen on the television. We reached a place with so many trees and got and we saw all these old buildings. And we wondered, what have we done? What had we done? Where have we brought our daughters? But the minute we got in, everyone welcomed us. It was instant family. And our daughters have never regretted going to Olney Friends School. Reminds me again, Ken Jacobson always says, Christian, what matters is what happens within those buildings and the kinds of bonds we form, the memories we get, the things we learn, the things that, most importantly, as Maria has pointed out and the students and everyone this morning, the things which touch our hearts, the things that give us meaning and value in life. Because for sure, you can go anywhere and learn algebra, but you can only learn the kind of algebra Bill Tabor teaches at all. Okay, so those are the kinds of things we think about when we think about the value added of Olney Friends School. And I'll say, as I've said a few times in the past 2 weeks, this year has come to an end quite fast. It shocked me when we hit May. Say, wait, are we already done? And for that, as I said last night during our Alumni Association meeting, for that I am grateful to the students in particular who have made this year an incredible one. And I'll tell you a few stories about the student body. We had a student who, I don't know what to say. The student might not see everything, but I don't know about you, but as a young teenager, crossing through a conflict country, going to another unsafe one to get a visa, securing it, going to Europe, getting a temporary visa, and waiting to fly to the US so you can come to Olney Friends School. That was one of our students from Afghanistan who came and made it this year and has made it an incredible year for fellow students, for the faculty. It's a pleasant human being who has blossomed during a time here at Olney. That is Olney Friends School. In a time when we had so many people from Afghanistan who couldn't go anywhere, this one student said, I'm coming to Olney, and if you support me in several ways, I will make it somehow. And so the shock I got when the student said, I made it to Islamabad and I got my visa, that was just incredible. That's all. And it reaches back to the way people from the south used to send their children here so that they could be safe from all the torture in the south in those years. Right? We have another student coming in from Afghanistan who's been stuck in Pakistan for most of this academic year. She refused to go back to Afghanistan because she said, I'm coming to Olney. And she tried for her visa 2 times and finally got it a week and a half ago. So we'll expect her sometime soon. And we have some Ukrainian students who've also reached out to us and want to come. And I keep asking, this place that's attracting all these people, what's going on with this place? And when I look in the audience and see all of you, that is what is attracting people to this place. Because whether you are here physically or not, together, that is what forms that Holy Spirit that attracts people, including people from within the United States. I know of a story of a student who could not really function at Olney for a week and a half, just so scared about everything, so anxious. So what then, after a while, here is a student smiling, happy, going to class. The students know so much how much I love to hear them laugh in the library. Of course, I'll always step out like a typical headmaster and say, silence in the library. This is for studying. But within me, my heart's smiling because happy students mean that we are doing something right, especially when they are happy studying together at the same time. So that is Olney, and the students have made it worth it this year. It's just been incredible. Jobs that does it with a sense of humility, and does it without batting an eye because mission for us maintain that here. This is not a school. Don't come here to get rich, to work here as a faculty, which is material, makes all makes who've entrusted to Only Friends School that you can send your child and then get the reports and be comfortable with it. We hope to continue for more generations. One more thanks to the Ohio Yearly Meeting. We never forget the president of the Fiduciary Trustees. I see Water Monthly Meeting, Yearly Meeting. Give you the thanks today. Please hear. We wouldn't have that little gem that we call Only Friends School. So grateful as well to the board. Lisa is here from the 50-year class. Grateful to the board for the leadership, guidance, all the support. And I'll tell you, I've worked with boards before, and this one does challenge and also does the supportive measures as well. And that's the kind of partnership one wants between the administration and the board. So we are pulling in the right direction. For those of you who needed that update, we are all working together in the same direction. Juniors, Marie said what I was going to tell you, and I had already told you the same thing a few days ago. So let us keep going. Juniors, you are the leaders next year. Okay? And the sophomores, you've been through 2 solid years of full metanoia classes. You've had Roger, you've had all these other teachers. You're also ready to be leaders. Next year, sophomores, you'll be in the upper classes. You'll be juniors. So juniors, seniors, we expect you to stand up and be counted, even if you're busy giggling and tickling each other as you usually do, at the most appropriate time. All right. So with that, colleagues, those are all my thanks. And I'll just say the Holy Spirit lives on. It's our distinct honor to carry on that tradition and to really honor those who came before us, because we know we will hand over to other people again in the future here. We are going to end with a period of silent worship. During these minutes, friends may feel free to share if the Spirit moves you, but we will continue in silence until the seniors exit the building and give us the signal for when it's time to upload. There will be photographs, as always, by the senior steps, and then lunch will be served in the dining hall, but we'll have it outside. Is that accurate, Joe? Fantastic. That's what we'll do. I'd forgotten something very important, and that is to recognize Connie and Jamie one more time here for those of you who did not, who are not in Alumni Association meeting yesterday. Connie has been at Olney for 7 years. She served with distinction, taught Spanish, being the dome head of the Mod Dome, advised students, driven students all over the place. An incredible human being. Connie, please rise. We will clap at the end, but I'd love for you to see Connie. We'll miss you and we'll wish you the very best as you move to Columbus. And then next is Jamie Zavitz, who's taking a leave of absence for a year. And I underline that it's a leave of absence. And that's why we didn't make you a grady box, Jamie, because it's not yet time to leave. We will be waiting for you to come back. If not, we'll figure out a way to grab easy, and then you'll be back here to fetch her. Jamie, please rise as well. All right. Thank you so very much, everyone, for joining us for this commencement. Those who are online, I hope you could hear us. And let us fall into some worship. And thank you, everyone. Today, we have a wonderful jamboree, the Gwendon Chambers Woodstock. We can't wait. It's going to be incredible. Bring your music, come and enjoy. Alumni, many thanks to Don Gwendon and John Chambers for hosting. And don't say, Christian, here is my new tool shed. Because he said, I can't justify spending this money on a platform for the music if I can't call it a tool shed. That is classic Gwendon. There has to be a purpose behind it all. So thanks very much.